What's going on, guys? So we are now driving this brand new 2025 Ram 1500 Crew Cab Limited four-wheel drive truck. This has the 3-liter Hurricane straight six twin turbo high output engine, 540 horsepower, 521 pound-feet of torque. I just visited a buddy of mine and I had to pick something up from him. But yeah, this is really cool. It's paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission. We're going to talk about driving impressions because there's a lot to talk about with this specific truck, especially considering it's got a straight six gas-powered engine. All right, so I have been trying to find every conceivable bumpy road to really put this suspension to the test because this has to be one of the smoothest, if not the smoothest, riding half-ton truck I've ever reviewed. Now, as is normal with a lot of these higher trim limited packages, this truck has air suspension. So all four corners has air suspension with the ability for you to adjust the ride height from pretty high up in the air to pretty low to the ground. One thing that I can tell you about the truck, which is a little odd and hard to get used to, is how it shifts right off the line. The truck kind of wants to surge forward, and it makes for a bit of an awkward acceleration whenever you take off from a stop sign or a stoplight. It just feels as if there's too much power going down initially, and it's hard to kind of feather the throttle in a way that makes it feel really linear and smooth. Overall, though, the interior of this truck is absolutely quiet. Very, very well muffled. You don't really hear any wind noise at all, and the ride is, again, impeccably smooth. They've done a fantastic job tuning the suspension on this truck. And like I said, we've really tried to traverse all sorts of horrible road conditions to see what it takes to make this truck feel rough inside, and we've yet to find anything that really challenges this plush suspension. Even at highway speeds, you really feel as if the truck is stable, quiet, and planted. It does not give you any type of concern about going 70 miles an hour or 75 miles an hour on certain types of roads. It just feels very, very smooth and isolated. The steering on the truck is actually great. When I compare this to some of the other vehicles, I would say it's very similar to what you might expect from like the Denali or the F-150, but it feels nice, tight, and crisp. It does not feel like there's a lot of oversteer or understeer. It's just dialed in really well. They've done a fantastic job with that. Plus, the ergonomics of the interior really make this truck a pleasure to drive. You know, when you look at newer trucks nowadays, everything seems to be more horizontally focused, especially if you look at the GMC and now the Ford trucks, everything is kind of wide and flat looking. Ram has gone the opposite approach with this truck, and they've really given you a lot of those tall vertical accents to the interior, including the navigation with that absolutely huge Uconnect system. But it fits in really well, and it makes things very easy to access so you don't feel like you're leaning way over into the passenger side to access something. So everything is really nice and kind of in your face where you want it to be. The programmable front gauge cluster is also really well set up, and you can put a tremendous amount of information in place if you want to know how fast you're going, you want to know your trip information, your fuel economy, as well as the height of the truck, and you can go to any one of those to expand them even further so you can specifically see what the details are in each individual category. Now, from a fuel economy perspective, we've been putting some miles on this truck, and even though it's unpublished on the paperwork that I was supplied, what it appears to be getting, in the city at least, whenever we're not on a highway, we're getting about 17 to 18 and a half miles per gallon, and we can make that go higher or lower depending on how we're babying the throttle. From a highway perspective, we're getting about 26 miles per gallon to about 28 miles per gallon. But I don't know how consistent that would be, simply because we haven't taken this on a long highway trip yet. But the average that we've been seeing has been about 18 miles per gallon combined. And so far, that's pretty much on par with a lot of the other trucks. The Denali that we have is a bit of a outlier because of that diesel, and I believe that Ram, when they had their Eco Diesel, had a direct competitor in terms of fuel economy with those baby diesel engines, and I really wish they would bring that engine back. But I'm not going to say I'm super impressed with the fuel economy in this truck, but I would say it's certainly at par with what it competes against, especially considering how much power and torque that this truck produces. Overall, though, I can tell you that this is an absolutely great highway truck. This is a vehicle that if you spend a lot of time on the road, you're not going to be doing anything crazy from a towing perspective. You keep your weights managed. This is an absolute pleasure to drive. The seats are some of the most comfortable seats I've sat in. This specific truck does not have massaging seats. I do not know if that's an option on Ram trucks, whereas it is absolutely an option on GMC. Not sure about Chevy, but definitely Ford. But massaging seats definitely come in handy because of the way they do it now. It's not just a vibration, it's actually airbags in the seat that move in different patterns according to how you select. And again, these seats aren't massaging, but they are extremely comfortable. Okay, and speaking of comfortable seats, a feature that I didn't even know existed on this truck because I couldn't find it in any easy to get to menu is that it actually does have massaging seats. It has a very similar system to the Jeep Grand Wagoneer that I reviewed probably maybe a little over a year ago. So multiple massaging seat features, works really well, and it actually feels like a real massage. So it's good to know that if you get the limited series truck, and maybe even a model below it, I'm not sure if this is a feature that you can get on any of the other trims, but it's really nice to know that you can get it on the limited trim because these seats are super comfortable and the massage features just make them that much more. Now, the other interesting thing about the ride dynamics is how planted the truck feels when you are going over rough terrain. Some of the roads that we've gone over are incredibly bumpy. You know, if we start from the F450 that I have, even the new F450, they're still very, very bumpy, jarring roads. And then you feel some of the 3/4 ton trucks, which have come a long way in terms of comfort, ride, suspension characteristics. You know, a lot smoother than that. But then you look at half-ton trucks, which all of them have become very smooth riding trucks. This truck even stands out amongst those. It is absolutely the smoothest riding half-ton truck I've been in. But I say that really in comparison to those other brands. If I compare this even to the last couple of years of Ram limited trucks with the air suspension, I'm gonna say it's about on par with those. But overall, it is absolutely a pleasure to drive. My wife is complimentary of this thing every single time she gets in. She keeps saying how smooth the truck rides. You know, we've talked about possibly getting one of these as a year-long evaluation vehicle. The problem that we run into there is that we're going to give up a lot of fuel economy. You know, when we got the Denali, the whole point of the Denali was the fact that we were testing it for a year, and we really got to put to test how that fuel economy number lasted in the long run. And it is still doing really well. You know, from a pickup truck perspective, I know there's a lot of folks out there who are looking to get a half-ton truck that gets that 25 in the city to 30, 32 mile per gallon on the highway fuel economy numbers, and there are just so few trucks that actually do that, that when you find one, you almost don't want to get rid of it because that's a lot of savings, right? When you can get 650, 700 miles to a tank because of that fuel economy, and that tank only being like a 22-gallon tank, there's a lot of perks to that. I really wish Ram would bring back their EcoDiesel. Now, the range on this truck, considering we've been driving it for a while, is about 500 miles as it stands now, which means you can probably get upwards of 550 miles to a tank on this truck if you're, you know, on the highway and you're not trying to floor it all the time and you're being conscious about that. But overall, yeah, the fuel economy numbers are pretty good on this truck. Overall, the ride is fantastic. The technology in here is really, really nice. It seems definitely more of a subtle evolution over the previous model, not some huge evolution. Like when you look at the Ford infotainment system, it's a huge jump over the previous version, what I had in my 2017. When you look at GM, kind of the same thing. Their infotainment system is a huge jump. But Ram has been doing the Uconnect 12 system for a long time, and then this larger system, again, is more of an evolutionary change versus a dramatic change. The system still feels and navigates in pretty much the same way. So if you currently have a Ram truck with the previous version of this Uconnect system, this is going to feel very natural, and it's not going to be a huge learning curve because it's very similar to the previous edition with the Uconnect 12. That said, though, absolute pleasure to drive this truck. It handles very well. We had a chance to drive it at night for quite some time as well. The headlight output is absolutely fantastic. The LED headlights cover a huge swath. They don't appear to be auto swiveling, where whenever you turn left or right, the headlight turns, like on some of the new Ram heavy-duty trucks. If there's a feature that allows that to happen, I haven't been able to find it, and again, I haven't seen that take place. If it's happening very subtly, but the light output is very wide, and it is super bright, and it's absolutely fantastically bright. It's a really, really good light output and light pattern. The driver's side headlight, however, looks like it's a little bit down or lower than the passenger side. I don't know if that's intentional, but I can definitely tell you, though, you see a lot of the roadway at night with this truck, and the headlights just perform well. Plus, the accent lighting on it looks stellar. It's just a really, really good-looking truck. It feels nice on the inside, comfortable seats, comfortable ride, great acceleration, great power, a little awkward shifting off of the line, super great light output, an absolutely brilliant looking LED light package with accent package on the outside with the animation that takes place. Overall, just a fantastic package, and they've done a great job with this newest 2025 Ram 1500 Limited truck. Anyways, guys, please leave a comment below. I'd love to know what your thoughts are. Is this a truck that you maybe consider getting? What have you compared it to? Have you had a chance to drive one yet? But again, I'd love to know what your thoughts are. Please leave a comment. Guys, if you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, and we will talk to you again very soon.